Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
Brought to you with Lava Light. Whether you're a novice gardener, specialist grower, or houseplant enthusiast, Lava Light can help you to nourish and protect your plants all year round. The collection comprises of 8 different horticultural growing media and pest control products, with each continually offering the same natural benefits from thermal protection and moisture retention to soil conditioning and continued nutrient boosts. Derived from volcanic deposits, Lava Light is completely natural and sustainable. Look out for it online and in your local gardening stores.
So, Chris Young, we are so happy to have you on the podcast today. We just love your attitude, your working style. Somehow you're fun, accessible, and authoritative all at the same time.
This is like really bigging you up, Chris. That whole combo isn't easy to achieve, is it? And we think it's what makes people feel compelled to want to work with you, and how you're now following your portfolio career. So I guess that's kind of like living the dream, right? Welcome to the podcast, Chris.
Thank you both very much, and that is very nice introduction. Thank you. But yeah, no, I didn't. But I'm feeling feeling really lucky. Actually, it's really good. There's lots going on.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's kind of pull that apart then, because we really want to bring you on to talk about portfolio careers today and showing that you don't have to do just one thing. So if you're indecisive or you kind of just want to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you can really achieve that. But of course, over the years, you must be mostly recognized as being the editor of the garden magazine, the RHS magazine. But take us right back even before then. So did your career actually start off in horticultural media, or were you working on something different? What did you study? Take us right back, even to teenage years, if you must.
We'll have a go now. So I am one of those people, probably like you two, that really love gardening from a young age. So I was always quite good at it. 10, 11, and I then had a kind of a seminal moment when I was studying my A-levels because I got ME. So I couldn't really use my legs very well when I got ME for a couple of years. And so I did a lot of staring. And that kind of staring and sitting in the garden and looking at the seasons really transformed my whole approach to what I was doing. And I believe, in a completely unscientific way, that actually connecting to nature and the well-being and sitting with plants and wildlife actually helped me get better, or it certainly helped my mental approach, put it that way. And so I thought, well, actually, if I can get loads of benefit out of having ME at a kind of a crucial time of my life at the A-levels, and actually I can get something out of gardens and plants and nature, then surely other people can. And that's really what drove me to want to be in the media, because I knew I wanted to be a garden designer like John Brooks. He was my hero. The room outside concept to people living outside, indoor, outdoor living. John Brooks was the father of all of that from the 60s and 70s, and I wanted to be like that. But my dad gave me some very good advice, which was you can always scale down. It's more difficult to scale up. So I studied landscape architecture. So I wanted to be a garden designer, but I thought if I learned landscape architecture with urban planning, city planning, all of that sort of stuff, then I can always focus down to domestic spaces. So I did that at Cheltenham, University of Gloucester in Cheltenham, did my degree and diploma. But as soon as I came out of that, I just thought, I don't want to be doing that. I want to actually be telling everybody why connection with plants and nature is so important. And then I got straight away on a landscape architecture magazine for the Landscape Institute. And in those days, I was telling somebody this yesterday, in those days, you could write letters to the editor and get published. And that was like having an article published because you'd been chosen. And then, I progressed from there to book reviews, and then I progressed to doing interviews. So it was the dream to get in the media, tell people, and just try and share that love that, you guys and so many people in the industry have. And it kind of worked.
That's a really great story. And we do have many people on the podcast who talk about kind of like finding plants and nature for well-being through adversity, you know, in one way or another. And, you know, you having ME kind of made you really kind of realize how necessary it was for your recovery. And I know you said on not a scientific kind of comment, as in it, you think it made you feel better, but since then, of course, there's been a lot of research into how it really can help improve recovery rates if you're poorly. So
absolutely, and I think that's, you know, I think when all the kind of the well-being stuff that's come out in the last few years came out, I think for a lot of gardeners that was like, well, tell us something you don't know, but we'd never really we'd never given it a term before. We'd never, and then there was all this science and the fact that people respond quicker in hospital, they get better quicker if they look at green rather than grey, and all of that sort of stuff. And actually, it was like kind of validated, especially as a landscape architect. Landscape architecture is about the improvement of the external environment. And so actually we all knew this in the 90s, or we knew this in the 70s or 50s whenever people were doing it. But, you know, it was kind of normal then. But actually it's taken a long time to get mainstream. So, and it's lovely to be part of, you know, the communications world, the media world in the last 25 years, actually trying to share some of that with people. It's been brilliant.
Oh, I bet, absolutely. And you obviously your role with the RHS magazine, you know, it must have been pretty awesome to have shaped that magazine, you know, within the RHS, and report on plants and, you know, design and well-being and everything as well. And like, it's really impacted the horticultural world. You know, what's some of your highlights from working in the media and specifically the magazine?
Yeah, I mean, so I was editor of Garden Design Journal when I left college. I got quite quick into that editorship for the Society of Garden Designers, and that was brilliant because that was the time when Cleve West and Andy Sturgeon and Anne-Marie Powell, they were all cutting their teeth at Chelsea, and so like. But you still had the greats like Anthony Dugard-Pasley and John Brooks. You could learn from them, and Anthony Paul and people like that. And then actually you were mates with Cleve West and Andy Sturgeon. It was crazy. This was all, you know, really seminal time. So I was really, really lucky. And I took the Garden Design Journal from 3 issues a year to 10 issues a year. And we really made it something that was hopefully useful for the industry. And then went to the Garden magazine in 2005. And you just learn so much of the RHS. I mean, the RHS is bonkers and brilliant, and there's so much in it. It's, you know, when I went as deputy editor, then became editor, then became in charge of the publishing, and you know, you just learn so much, and you learn what people really think about things, because RHS members are pretty quick to tell you what doesn't work or what and so are your colleagues, but also selfishly you're learning for yourself. So my plant knowledge just expanded hugely in the garden, and you know, and as you say, Ellen, you know, there were some seminal moments about bringing that whole sort of sustainability angle, which, you know, RHS has been talking about for a long time. Didn't really give it a title. We were talking about heat-free growing media 10 years ago when we were doing analysis of water take up on that, and actually, you know, and sustainability and the well-being. So it's been a phenomenal time to be part of all of that, and the growth in the RHS. You know, when I first joined, it was about 300,000 members, and now there are 620,000 members. So it's, you know, it was brilliant, and it was bonkers and brilliant and exhausting and stimulating, everything that you would expect.
I love bonkers. I love bonkers and brilliant. That's a great way to explain something like that. It was bonkers and brilliant.
I know, you'd have thought as an editor I could have actually found a few more words, but I just can't.
But I think that is, but the whole kind of the magazine, obviously kind of like talking about Chelsea, all of that, it is a lovely industry that we work in as well. And I think kind of all of those connections and the bonkers side of it is what makes it brilliant sometimes. So I think they're the best words to describe it, Chris. I think.
And I think, you know, we are, you know, a lot of the people you have on your podcast are, you know, we're all saying the same thing. We're all very, very grateful that we're here. We all enjoy it. It's got great, and actually the bonkers side of it makes it brilliant. It makes it hard work, and makes it stimulating, and we all learn from it. And I think that's what I've loved. You know, when you're editor of the Garden magazine, my former editor Ian Hodgson always said to me, you have something like 325,000 bosses, i.e. you have the membership, and they tell
of course,
and I think, you know, that wasn't far from the truth, because when you are editor of a magazine like that, it is quite a political job as well, because you're looking after colleagues because they want to get their information out. You're looking after the committees and the council and what they want from a point of view, and you're also having to represent your readers, which are the gardening constituents. And everyone has an opinion on the garden magazine, whether it's good or bad, or they hate it, or they think it's dull, or whatever. But actually, I took the hopefully pragmatic approach, was you try and give something for everybody over that year. Sometimes people would say there's not enough of say alpines, but then if you look over the year, there are maybe 3 or 4 articles on alpines or wood trees or woody stuff. So it was always a balance, because you could have always filled an extra issue, each issue, with content. But I love the challenge of that, and it was always Rosie Atkins from Gardens Illustrated always said a good editor is what you take out, not what you put in. And actually, that is part of the job. The part of the job is to cut stuff. If you edit anything, a book or a podcast or whatever, it's actually taking out, which actually helps make the enjoyment of the content better. And in the last 5-6 years there, I've been overseeing all of the books and the magazine's website, podcast, the special publishing, some of the in-house publishing, like the annual review. So you get a great view of different people want different stuff, and actually you have to make it reliable. And I could bore you for hours about tone of voice, but I won't. But it was great. I was very lucky.
Oh, aren't you good at being interviewed? Very proud.
Yeah, I love it. I'm completely enthralled. I love it when you interview someone. And you're just immersed in their words. It's wonderful.
I thought you two had switched off, or the screen had frozen, because
no, not at all.
Or you were texting each other going, "Oh God, what's he going on about?"
No, that's just your connection in the countryside, man.
Hey, don't diss somebody from Norfolk. You've got to be careful.
She's from Norfolk. I'm from.
I know. Well, I was born in Norwich, but I'm now in Northampton. So,
I forget that. Oh, there's 2 Norfolks against the Suffolk here, then.
Norwich is my city. I know I'm overseas some of the year, but Norwich is my heart. Really is.
Get away from
Yeah.
So, aside from the RHS Garden magazine, which is fab, and I remember reading it at my grandma's on a Thursday evening and loved it. But in more recent times, you made a really big leap. You broke away from the magazine and embarked on a fascinating blend of roles, and one of which led to me writing my book, Horticultural. So, because you're obviously working for DK on a particular day of the week, because you've got this portfolio career now. So, tell us briefly what roles you now do, and which days do you do them on?
Well, the answer to the last question is all of them. The first question is, so my life is, I was starting to get a bit grumpy at the RHS, and it wasn't about them, it was about me. And I was starting to become that slightly miserable person in the corner who said, "Oh, we tried that a few years ago." And so I listened to myself and thought, don't become this person.
Yeah, it's good that you recognised it, I guess.
It took me a while.
That's a skill a lot of people wouldn't have. So
well, I didn't want to become that person. But then you think, what do I do? I'm in this industry. I want to be creative and I want to stay in it. But actually, there's not that many pure jobs that you can apply for. There really aren't. So I said, well, let's see how I can go. So I now do 3 things. I do design, consultancy, and media, as I call it. So the design is, I go back to landscape architecture roots, and I do garden design for people locally in Berkshire. I've got a couple of clients, and in Northamptonshire, which is lovely. And then I do consultancy. So I do a lot of, I work with Burley House in Lincolnshire, looking at their gardens, and various other clients about how we can move their business on. Or I do a bit of business mentoring with people, because I love people and I want people to succeed and do better. And then the third bit is the media, and that's where I do a lot of content creation and website creation, and also the publishing. So I do my 2 days a week as the publishing consultant for DK, so Dorling Kindersley, which is all of the books we'd have all had on our shelves over the years, all the RHS encyclopedias and things like that. And DK is going through a really exciting change. They want to carry on doing all of the heritage stuff and the core encyclopedias, but also bring some new voices and new designs to it, hence doing your lovely book, Michael, Hortus Curious, and lots of other people that we brought in. So I have to acquire sort of 10 to 14 new gardening books a year, which is pretty high.
That's a lot.
I know it is a lot. There's no other publisher who would invest like that, but DK are number 1 in gardening. So they know that we want to keep that position. So it's really hard work. It's great because it's a very commercial role, but equally it allows me to talk to everybody in the industry, so I can use my connections and chat to people, because I really enjoy speaking to people and anyone to chat to, and see what books, what trends we can get on top of, where we can lead, where we're a bit late to the party on certain books, and really just we're collectively in DK just trying to push the core, but also push the new approach and the new types of gardeners, which maybe we can talk about later. But there's kind of two audiences at the moment of gardening, which is really interesting. So I do my consultancy, media, and design, and basically I do that over 6 days a week, and I do anything at any one time.
I have to just ask before we talk about sort of your role in more practical terms, I guess, but your role with DK Books. So you're scouting for new book ideas and kind of undiscovered authors. That must be so fascinating, like to find people who are able to write a book and then bring that out to the public. Like, how does the process work for you?
So the process is that we identify kind of key themes or people. So, where we were 20, 30 years ago, most of the DK content would have been about the subject and not about the author. But as we all know, life moves on. And actually, because so Michael is a case in point, when we approached Michael to do his book, part of the attraction for Michael was not his endless photos with his body or his auricular tattoos, but the fact that he knows a bit about plants, is very well connected, and has a good social profile. So we're looking at that blend, Ellen, really to try and work out where there's a gap in the market for a subject or a gap in the market for that author. And So we're looking at trends. What are we seeing in terms of climate change and how people are changing the use of the garden? We're looking at how people might want to save money. So what sort of propagation? We might call it propagation, but other people might be calling it saving money. All of these different angles. What sort of small garden projects can we do? And we've just done something different. We've just announced that Andrew Timothy O'Brien from the Gardens, Weeds and Words podcast, he's doing a narrative book for us. So
cool.
Narrative. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
So you're looking for the different topic, and you're also looking for the person who can bring that kind of beautiful writing, but also that social media presence if it's necessary.
And you're also making people's dreams come true, I might add, because for many people, writing a book is a dream. It's something they've wanted to do for a really long time. So to actually have a book published is a really big deal for people.
It is. I mean, I've done too. I did the Encyclopedia of Garden Design for the RHS and Take Chelsea Home, which is all about the Chelsea Flower Show. It is a huge amount of work, as you both know, because you've done your 2 books as well, Ellen, and it is an endless amount of work. But there is still something, even in this digital world, of being very proud about holding the thing that you've written.
Yeah. It's totally different to writing online. Like you've got it in your hand. You turn the pages, and sometimes I flick through the book. I have never actually got one of my books and read it front to back since it's been published.
No,
but
me neither.
I will sometimes flick because I want a photograph for social media or a bit of marketing or whatever, and then I read something and I go, oh wow, I wrote that. What? They're my words. And it's just a lovely, lovely feeling to still have books. I'm so pleased we do still have books, and it's not just all online.
Absolutely.
Hi, the Gardener Ben here, with my last instalment for Season 10 of the Plant-Based Podcast. March is finally here, and it's time to crack on with some really exciting jobs in the garden. When I designed and built my vegetable and cutting garden, I was crafty enough to design some raised planters around some cloches I had purchased. This enables me to get on with some early direct sowing. The cloche not only forces a little bit of heat down into the ground, protects your seedlings from the inclement weather, but also stops the birds and the squirrels digging up your tiny seedlings. So during the month of March, I'm going to be direct sowing things like carrots, radishes, lettuces, and beetroot, all safely tucked up underneath their cloches, keeping them warm and safe and bringing crops on ever so slightly early. March is also the perfect time to divide, lift and split your herbaceous perennials. Many gardeners would have suggested that you do this in September and October, But through years of experience, I've found that this can often lead to newly divided plants sitting in cold or wet soil for long periods of time, and things like hostas often rot during the winter. By lifting and dividing in March and April, you'll have a much better success rate. You're going to need to be bold and brave with this one, and this never feels quite right. But taking a deep border spade lifts clumps of things like phlox, goldenrod and hostas that may have got too large. My garden's been planted for a little over 5 years now, and some clumps really need to be reduced in size. So they'll be lifted, divided into 3. Parts of the clump will be placed back into the original location. 1/3 is often given away to friends and family. But if you're having particular success with one particular plant, don't fall into the trap of planting it somewhere else in the garden, or you can rapidly find your entire space becomes overwhelmed with one particular plant which likes its growing conditions. March is also the perfect time to crack on with some remedial work on your lawn. A recent series of hot, dry and warm summers, followed by wet and dark, cold winters. I don't know about you, but it's left my lawn in a terrible state. I've got no children to blame for the wear and tear on my lawn. It's simply me traipsing around with the wheelbarrow, often causing large amounts of damage and compacting the soil. So March is the perfect time to get out and solve its problems. Firstly, I'm going to be doing several mechanical treatments, the first of which is hollow tining. As soil becomes compacted, often you'll find that root growth on your lawn will die back and it will start to struggle. Aeration can be improved in one of 2 ways. If you have a small lawn, simply go over your lawn and area with a garden fork, sinking the tines several inches into the surface of the soil, giving it a wiggle as you pull it out. For a lawn my size, I'm going to be hiring myself a hollow tiner, which is a large cylinder machine covered in tines. As the machine goes over the lawn, it removes plugs of soil, which simply fall onto the surface and dissolve next time it rains. This increases aeration and opens up the surface of the soil, allowing you to overseed or add a lawn dressing. Once aeration is complete, it's time to deal with the build-up of moss and thatch. You can often find that if your lawn is struggling and you're not regularly cutting and removing the clippings, thatch build-up will often choke the lawn out and be replaced by moss. Once again, if you have a small lawn, you can remove the moss and thatch by raking it aggressively with a wire rake. Again, on a lawn my size, I'm going to be hiring myself a scarifier. This has rotating blades which slice through the soil, cutting through the rhizomes of the grass, stimulating new root growth and new lateral growth, also dragging out the moss and thatch. You'll be absolutely surprised by how much rubbish will come out of your lawn during this stage. This will all need to be raked up and head to the compost bin. Once you have finished your mechanical treatments, you can then think about re-sowing your lawn and adding a top dressing if you wish. As soon as nighttime temperatures are stable above 7 degrees, you can start thinking about applying lawn seed. I do this by hand to all areas that need regenerating, and I then brush the seed into the holes created by the hollow tiner or your garden fork using a soft bristled brush. This tucks it down safe under the soil surface, away from those pesky pigeons. I will then be adding a fully organic compost-derived lawn dressing, sparsely over the entire lawn, once again brushing this into the holes created by the hollow tiner. You'll need to keep an eye on the weather once you've completed this task. Lawn seed needs decent amounts of moisture and stable temperatures above 7 degrees to germinate. It can take between 14 and 21 days to start greening up. And over this period of time, you will need to make sure the lawn is kept damp. Children and pets are kept off the area wherever possible. And in no time at all, you should have a beautiful, thick, green, lush lawn. I hope you've enjoyed the content I've shared with you over the last 3 months. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook and on YouTube, where you can find me under the username of The Gardener Ben. I'll see you all again soon. Take care now.
Hi, it's me, Ellen Mary. I'm here to tell you all about people, plants, well-being, where you can find your magic through the power of plants and nature. We have a well-being retreat coming up on the 21st to the 23rd of April. It's in Norfolk in the UK, and it's all about reconnecting, resetting, and rejuvenating yourself through immersive nature experiences. There's going to be guided walks, there's going to be foraging talks and walks, bathing under the stars, evening time walks, mindful gardening sessions, plants and crafts, plant-based foods. Everyone's going to feed off the amazing group energy, and it's all set in private woodland. It is going to be epic. You can even get a massage, you can opt in for a Reiki session or hypnotherapy as well. So check it out, peopleplantswellbeing.com, click on Wellbeing Retreats, and you'll find all the information you need to join us on the Wild Wellbeing Retreat.
Just want to dig in a bit about kind of like, because you're kind of an author scout. Is that what you call it? Is that what the term is? Yeah, the kind of street term for it?
The street term would be, the DK term would be acquisitions editor.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go with your street.
Right. So you're author scouting, which must be a really interesting role, and one that is almost maybe not easier, but more interesting than it used to be, because before social media, people with these niche interests in horticulture primarily wouldn't have been as visible. So maybe your job is kind of easier now because you've got more people to choose from, but maybe more difficult because you have got more people to choose from. So how has that kind of changed, do you think? And where do you look? Do you only look on social media, or are you kind of, maybe you see people in different places, or how do people come kind of in your gaze, as it were?
Well, I think it's matching. So yeah, I'm trying to go. I go to the flower shows or to trade shows or reading the trade press to find out the latest trends and thoughts. Then you match that with how consumers are going to then be encountering that in due course. So that's it from a thematic approach or a subject approach. In terms of the profile of the author, sometimes you don't need a high-profile author because the subject itself is just wrong. You don't need a name. Other times you do need the name. And I think the reality is that because of the drive of social media, and especially Instagram at the moment, but obviously with TikTok as well, there is that need to be able to bring something else to the party for if you're an author. So that's just a reality of it. I think most of our authors bring something, either a high social media profile. They all bring knowledge, so that's a given. So coming down, they all bring their subject expertise, but it's then what we add on top of that. Is it about a really big reach? Is it about that actually this is a niche subject which we think will get big? Because don't forget, with all book publishing, it's about the backlist as much as the front list. So you're looking forward all the time. But actually, what books are sitting on your shelves that you've published in the last year, 2-3 years, that have a longer shelf life? So there's that balance about, you might have a book that you did 4 years ago that was brilliant, but looks a bit dated, but you want to update that and bring that out in a couple of years' time with new photography or something like that. So I think there's no one simple answer, Michael, really, but it's kind of that balance between the subject and the author. And also we publish RHS books as well, which is an amazing imprimatur to have on any book. And sometimes, you might have a book on houseplants with the RHS, which doesn't need an author because it's RHS and houseplant. Other times you might do a houseplant book with somebody who is a big name in houseplants, but there's no RHS logo. So it's just about that balance, really, of what we feel is right for the market, what we feel right for the sales team, and what, most importantly, people want to spend their money on.
Yeah. That's really cool. So back to the kind of portfolio career. So how do you deal with wearing those different hats? Like, I joked about you only do this on Tuesdays, you do that on Thursdays. Can it be that simple? And also, do those roles sometimes influence each other as well?
Yeah, they do. So I have to work. I have to ensure that there's obviously client confidentiality between the different stuff. But yeah, there's no doubt that it helps me enrich my brain and my view of the industry by doing all these different things. But I think did you guys ever do that kind of learned behavior stuff? That when you do sort of profiling about where you work, you can be there's there's different kind of personality types and all of that sort of stuff. And I think
like the Myers-Briggs thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got really into, and then there was this like learned behaviour and the behaviour that you actually naturally have. And so I think I prefer to do one thing at a time. And actually, in my old job as head of editorial for the RHS, you do a million things. So you go from a podcast meeting to then having an HR issue, then to sorting out content. You flip all over the place.
Oh, and that's why you were bonkers. Yeah.
But also brilliant. Thank you very much, Michael Perry. So I think that has helped me now do this, which is like today I've been to 2 different gardens. I've had a meeting with Burley House. I've done this and I've done some writing, and it's now 4:00 in the afternoon. So, but that's really how my life was at the RHS. So I think I learned quite well to deal with that. There are some days where you just want to hunker down and focus on one thing and turn all the computers, the emails and social media off, and you just do that. But it's about it's about time management. And I don't think I couldn't have done this when I was 20. I wouldn't have had enough experience. I wouldn't have been focused enough. Now I'm really old and balding and, whatever. You kind of feel that you can do it a bit more, and I'm not letting anybody down. I hate letting people down, which I don't. And I want to do a really good service to people. So as long as I do that and I don't get any complaints, then I just juggle, which is fun.
Yeah.
That's a really good point that I have never thought about, because Michael and I both say how we wear different hats a lot of the time. When you're self-employed and you're doing like different work, whilst we're all working in horticulture, we put many different hats on throughout the day or on different days. And sometimes it's quite difficult to jump from one thing to the next thing. Say 1 hour you're working, I don't know, writing a book, and then the next hour you've got to go and record some videos, and then the next hour you've got to have a really important meeting. Like it's quite difficult to make the transition into each one.
And each one would have a different personality as well, which is
the
way you would be.
You would turn it on slightly differently. Absolutely, that's really interesting. But I'd never really thought about the age and experience coming into that. So when I was younger, I would have worked the 9 till 5. And I don't think I would have had enough experience to be able to put those different hats on and handle it as well as perhaps we do now. So I've never thought about it in that way, but that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
It probably is an ageist thing, and I probably shouldn't say it, but I we've always said, haven't we, across the industry, you need a few seasons under your belt. There was told at the Garden magazine, why don't you have younger people writing for you? And of course, there's no ageism. We weren't ever excluding anyone.
Yeah. And also being older, like you said, is when you're older, you get used to how the world works. You don't want to let people down. You become more reliable as you get older as well. And I think also added to that, when people ask me, they're kind of like, oh, what is your, sounds really cheesy, but they're like, what is your secret to success or something like this? And I just say, just be reliable. Yeah. And this is so nice to hear you say that. You don't want to let people down. And that is what helps you juggle that portfolio career. And this is something that should be fundamental to everyone as well, because this is, it's fundamental. Yeah.
It is, because, so much of, you can be really knowledgeable in something, but you might be rubbish at delivery. And I think that was always what I want to do, whether it's redoing a patio for somebody down the road or working, I do Jamie Butterworth's Form Plants website content. I just want to make it simple for people. When I was, in charge of publishing at the RHS, I didn't want people to come with like an ifs and buts. You just want somebody to do a reliable job. And I think that's not much to ask. So, I feel I'm better at doing that now. I'm, mid-40s rather than when I was mid-20s. I had probably more energy when I was to rule the world. But but I think, I don't know, I think that juggling, as you say, Alan, it does help with a bit of experience. And as you say, Michael, putting that face on, putting that different face or the different tone of voice, which bit of experience you bring to the meeting. But I think that's the beauty of what we do. You can do that. If you've got the energy for it, then just crack on and do it and make it your own.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally love that. I'm talking about different hats. RHS Chelsea Flower Show. We see you at the flower shows, moving around, chatting and all of that kind of stuff. What was your involvement with RHS Chelsea Flower Show specifically last year? What have you been up to with the shows?
So so over the years, I've helped different people with their briefs in terms of writing their briefs and getting that articulation ready. And I'm working with Jamie Butterworth of Form Plants on what he's doing. And he's a young, inspiring nurseryman who's 28 and doing some really good stuff. And then he was designing a garden for Place to Be, this children's charity this year at Chelsea. So I helped him quite a bit on the brief and the wording, and there was a whole kind of team of us working on it. So and it was just being there. It was the first time, because when you're with staff for RHS, you obviously, I felt it was very important that I was neutral. So I never worked at Chelsea or did that. I would just be there in terms of my working capacity. But this year I felt that I could just actually go and help. So I worked on the garden for 6 days, and it was an amazing experience. He's bonkers, but I don't know if he's brilliant. He's just probably bonkers. But it was and exhausting. But he was brilliant. He made an amazing garden. The planting was superb, and it was just so nice to actually, listen to what people's comments were and all of that stuff that you hear designers talk about when you hear the public's reaction and stuff. So it was a really special time, actually. And for me, it was really important also to be seen, just because I need to earn some money and I want to work with different clients. And so I wanted to, when you're high profile with the RHS, I didn't want to have disappeared. So it was really important for me to get there and talk to people. Because I think that's the other thing that, we all have our down days, and actually you still got to make the effort to go and see people and go to trade shows and go to conferences, because you just have to be seen and relevant to people.
But I think that's somewhere that social media kind of helps in a way. Like, it's not a substitute for real life connections, but it does give that kind of little fill in between. Do you know what I mean? And I think that, the way that I work, I show everything I do on social media, all those different elements, and that kind of makes me present as well. So I think it is, you can kind of have that online, offline, but you kind of got to be able to do both. Yeah,
you have,
definitely.
Yeah. And I think that, but I think it, I feel very lucky with what I'm doing, and I feel very proud of what I'm doing. But equally, it is hard work, and you're sitting here on your own in your office, and it does take energy. When you're when you're part of a bigger company like you guys have been in the past, there is that kind of company sort of around you, and so there is an HR, there's friendships, there's lunch breaks.
There's always someone you can blame something on. I found since being freelance, I can't blame anyone apart from me. No, and it's horrible.
It's normally your fault anyway, Michael, so we just blame you.
But no, I know what you mean. But what else would you like to do? Is there anything else you want to achieve, or anywhere else you want to work? Or I know you probably can't fit anything else in at the moment, but any other ambitions?
I think I'd like to do another book when I'm a bit older, to a narrative, so a text-only book. I'd love to do that and reflect it. It sounds a bit indulgent, but I'd love to do that. I want to start up I want to do something about garden design, and because I really love deconstructing garden design, so I really love trying to understand why design is good. And I think just keep on broadening. There's part of me that I love the chase of getting a new client or a new project or a new something. There's sort of that satisfaction of being able to get that. So I won't ever stop that. And I think. I would love one day to do a show garden. I think, so many in us. I don't feel confident enough to do that yet, but one day I would love to. Because I can see why there's such a buzz and such a thrill. I think, it maybe sounds a bit, I don't know what the right word is, but, I just want to do a really good job for people and get on with people and enjoy it.
Same. That's what gives me the buzz, and same for Ellen as well, I'm sure. It's just having a nice time. And being nice is the buzz, really.
Well, the one thing that this industry does afford, I was thinking about the podcast today, and I was thinking that actually, there's not that many single things you can do in horticulture to make you a good enough amount of money in just doing that 9 to 5 days a week. What it does do is means you can do 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 things, really, just not as many hours of that. And I think, I don't know, that just really excites me. You can be a photographer and a writer and a designer and an actual hands-on gardener, and you can do that all through the week. And you think, wow, you get all different experiences. And actually, that's what this industry offers. And I just think it's brilliantly exciting.
I love that. And that's a really valid point as well. When I came out of like the 9 to 5 office work, and came into horticulture, I kind of thought I couldn't get my head out of that space of just doing this one role. But actually, over the years, it's evolved into doing lots of different things within horticulture, and that is what makes it so exciting. You know, every day is a little bit different. You get a little bit of buzz because you're talking from someone else and doing stuff. Learn, and you never ever stop learning. Like every single day, even if one day you just learn what a new plant is, just, you know, there's always something new to learn. You know, what to inspire our listeners who are thinking about taking that role up in horticulture. Why do you think it is the best industry in the world?
Well,
big.
There we go.
It's obviously a very leading question.
Obviously, because I meet people like you both. Obviously, I think the reason it's the best is because there's opportunity. I'm sure other creative industries would say, well, whether you're whatever, you know, whether you're in fashion or in textiles or in architecture or whatever, that you can do this. But I don't know that many other industries where you can be hands-on, you can be creative, you can be very serious about things, you can be medical, you can be scientific. So whichever, you know, interest you have, you can do that in this industry. And I say you can do something 5 days a week, or you can do it 1 day a week. So and I think, you know, as you say, Ellen, we never stop learning, which, you know, we all say, but that actually the opportunities are endless. And I think people don't work hard enough to try and find new opportunities, to try and find. I've never understood when you work for the RHS, you have, I don't know what the ratio is, but say it's half the people are there because of plants and gardens, and the other half are there because maybe it's charity or a job. I've never understood why people in the world don't combine that. So if you love IT, but if your career is IT, but actually you love gardens, why don't you go and be an IT specialist for the RHS? Or if you're brilliant at marketing, go and be a marketing person for the so I think, you know, that's kind of on the outer layer of the world of horticulture work, but actually in it, in terms of the design of the hands-on gardening, or the designers, or the landscapers, or the plant people growing the plants, it's just endless opportunities. And who doesn't want to be in a career or an industry that's got loads of different opportunities?
Right.
And I think the fact that it's a living product, it's kind of always changing, the different seasons, kind of always so much to discover. It's a fun product we work with at the end of the day as well, isn't it?
It is, and it is, and you know, I get great enjoyment from seeing the different materials that are being used in gardening. I love the fact that, you know, we can make our gardens more personal for people. You know, for me, you know, personalization. Your outdoor space of your garden design, you know, that's really stimulating, and I think we're in a good place now. You know, we obviously got a tough time ahead finance wise, but I think in terms of people's understanding of gardens, of the value of plants, of the seasonality of colour, extent of just having some space, it sets us up well for you know, the years coming. So no, I'd love it. I'm not going to change. I'm afraid I'm going to stick with horticulture.
It's brilliant.
Me too.
Good. Michael, are you going to stick with it, or can we get rid of you quickly?
I don't know. I wanted to start working in IT, I think. Yeah.
No, I could.
No. Do you know what, Chris? I'm not good at anything else. I can't use a drill. I often think that, though. I'm like, if I wasn't doing this career, I really can't imagine what else I could do, because I'm kind of useless at everything else.
I could say so much, but I'm really not going to, Michael.
Oh, I'm trapped now.
This has been a really upbeat, positive, inspirational chat.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed
definitely.
it. I feel super happy after chatting with you, Chris. You kind of exude passion. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you, and it's lovely speaking to you too. And I really appreciate coming on, because it's a great podcast, and you have some really great people. But I feel lucky, and I feel quite upbeat now as well. We should do this more often.
We should just get together and have a little chat more often. I have to just tell you, we also hit 500,000 downloads on this podcast recently.
Brilliant. Well done, you.
Yeah,
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
You should scout us to write a book.
So needy.
No, seriously, it's been really inspiring, and I think we've all found today that we're kind of kindred spirits, where we enjoy horticulture, we enjoy opportunities, we like to be positive, we like to do a good job, which is fundamentally what you need in any role, but it kind of works in horticulture because it is such a lovely space to be in. So thank you so much.
You know, and people know people, which is what's really good, and I think if anything, because when you listen to these podcasts and you hear a lot of passion from people, I think it's great. But also, I think people just need to invest in relationships because that really does, it makes it stimulating and also gets you more work as well. So, but no, it's been lovely. Definitely, very much.
Cool.
Inviting me on.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for being here.
Where can listeners find you? Online, website, or social media, that kind of thing?
Yep. So I'm on Twitter and Instagram at CY Gardens, and my website is, funny enough, CY Gardens. So as in Chris. So yeah, I'm there, and I'm looking and watching and talking to anybody I can, so people can get in touch if they want.
Perfect.
Do you know what? I've just realised what CY means. Oh my god! It's taken me years because it's just so listeners know, it's CY, so it's the word, so it's SEEWHY Gardens, and I've just realised what it means. It's your initials, right? Is that right?
Yeah, and well done, Mike.
I never realised. I thought it was something to do with look at the garden or something, or
I think you've answered your question that you probably couldn't do any other job apart from the job you're doing.
There you go. Okay, Ellen, stop the recording. I'm over this.
I feel so embarrassed for you, Michael. I am.
Oh, don't pretend you knew. Don't pretend you knew.
Are you kidding me? Okay. Thank you so much, Chris, for being here.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
Soon.
Take care.
Hello, it's me, Julia, from Parker's Patch again, back for my third and final instalment of What to Sow and Grow in the Veg Patch. March is a big seed sowing month, depending on the weather, and it's been abnormally dry here in Sussex, and yet today we've woken up to a blanket of snow. So it always pays to look outside to see what's going on, and if the weeds are springing up, that's a really good indicator to start sowing seeds. I always go by a pot of mint, which sits by the back door. If I see new signs of growth, then I know I can start sowing some seeds. Outdoors, you can start root crops, including beetroot, carrots, parsnips, along with leafy greens like chard and spinach. All of these can be directly sown outside. And just like last month, you can sow more radishes, spring onions, peas and broad beans if you want a succession of crops. If you don't have much time to sow these, then I would prioritise parsnips. They take a long time to germinate and mature, so getting ahead is important, especially if you want to eat some on Christmas Day. I've also been chitting my potatoes on a window ledge, and once the shoots reach about 2 centimetres in length, I'm evicting them outside on a dry day, and obviously when there's no chance of frost. I like to try to get them in before the end of the month. I line my trenches with some of my own compost. I always think it gives them a head start. Undercover sowings this month include cauliflowers, celery, celeriac, spring onions, more tomatoes, chilies, aubergines, cucumbers, basil and coriander. The list could be endless, but best not to do too much in one go. I also love to sow leeks in March. They don't need much warmth to germinate and are quite happy jammed together in one pot until you're ready to plant them outside, and also usually when they're about the size of a small chive. I use a dibber to make holes in rows outside in a bed. The tricky bit is dividing the seedlings without disturbing their roots. Then all I do is plonk one seedling into each hole. There's no need to cover them because when you water them, the soil backfills naturally. I start picking them young and leave the rest in the ground to mature for the winter. The following spring, let 1 or 2 go to seed. The flower heads resemble ornamental alliums and attract many pollinators. Leave them to dry naturally and collect the seeds. You'll be amazed just how many seeds one flower head produces. So that's all from me. If you want to know more about what I'm up to, please give me a follow on Instagram at Parker's Patch, or have a look at my website www.parkerspatch.com, where there's information about workshops I run and a link to a book I co-wrote and published last year, The Little Grower's Cookbook. Many thanks for listening.
Brought to you with Lava Light. Derived from volcanic deposits, Lava Light can help you to nourish and protect your plants all year round. The collection comprises 8 different horticultural growing media and pest control products, So why not look out for their colourful packs, either online or in your local gardening store?
Oh, blooming heck, I'm just updating my diary for like 12th time already this year. I kind of run 2 diaries. I use my iPhone, but I also write it out on paper every so often as well. So that also then includes me transferring and kind of checking them against each other all the time. It's a system that I feel works very smoothly, even though it sounds very complicated to the naked eye. Anyway, hi, it's only me today. Ellen's on holidays. Today is actually her birthday. Today, which is, what is it? Thursday is her birthday. So obviously this podcast episode is out on Sunday, so you're far too late to wish her happy birthday. So there's no point doing it now. Don't do it. Anyway, so I'm gossiping myself today. So I'm going to tell you about what I've been up to, this and that. And we might actually stalk Ellen on social media. I think that would be a lot of fun. So where have I been? I've been in Holland for a few days. I know this anyway, but I just packed too much into my diary. Nobody needs to tell me this. I saw lots of friends. I did lots of different work things as well. I really feel knackered after it though, because most nights I was staying on friends' sofas, which are then, you can sleep, but it's not the best sleep. And so much work to do, and my to-do list was growing in the background. And yeah, so I do it to myself though, so I don't want any sympathy. So anyway, had a great time. I'm doing a new project with Living Creations, which is a hydrangea breeder. So I've been making lots of content. I was pruning their hydrangeas. I did the whole bed, actually, which is really, really fun. Later in the week, I was at the Lentertown, which means spring garden in Dutch. Little lesson for you there. Where they have almost the first spring display of the year. And it's in a sports hall in the north of Holland. And I hadn't been for a few years, so I was really happy to go. Invited by the bulb company, Capitaine. And the display was changed a lot this year. Usually they've got plants in borders, kind of looking like Keukenhof, but this year was more kind of studio-based, kind of giving a real kind of flower show vibe. The theme was music, so there was like mannequins, is that the right word? Yes, of the Beatles, surrounded by flowers. Kind of, there was a lot of different photo booths where you could have your picture taken as well. Lots of older people were there as well. So we always think that older people aren't into Instagram and Facebook, but they were all there having their picture taken, you know? So it was really cool. Looking with some really, really cool new varieties as well. Some cool new tulips. Might post a few of those up. Lots of different ways to use tulips as well. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm actually going to make a Pinterest article showing all of these different uses, whether that's kind of what you mix them with or how you actually prepare them in the vase. Oops, sorry, I'm spilling water everywhere. Don't do that, Michael. Yes, so it was a wonderful trip to Holland. Saw different friends and family as well. But knackered myself out. It's been a busy week with QVC. I'll often moan on here about doing the midnight shows. And I'm still going to moan about them because I love my job, obviously, but that time of night, my brain is not thinking along the same lines. Like, some people come to life in the evening. I know Ellen does. But for me, I'm just like, la, 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 la. So I really hate those shifts. But we've started our new shows. So we've got a new show on QV Style every day of the week. Mark Lane is on Tuesdays, Emma Reel Davis is on Thursdays, and I'm on Wednesdays. And there's certain other things going on the other days, which I don't know, so don't ask. And it was really, really cool. It's just me and the presenter for a whole 2 hours, so immediately you're talking a lot more. But fully responsible for all the demos. Kind of, we've done lots of potting up and different tips, tricks, customer interaction. If you watch QVC, I hope you tuned in. If you don't watch QVC and you think it's like, what the heck? Please tune in. Have a look on my Instagram and it will tell you where to find it online, qvcuk.com, or where to find the channel on Freeview and all of these different platforms. So please have a little look. Support my show, 5 p.m. every Wednesday. And that show is then repeated at 10 p.m. every Wednesday as well. So thank you very much.
podcast-wise, we've got a new sponsor coming soon, and they are, how much shall I tell you? A wine company. How cool's that? Oh, we could do a jingle where you hear the wine like pouring into the glass. That would be cool, wouldn't it? You could also do an episode where Ellen is drinking the bottle of wine, and we'll get loads of info out of that. That would be cool. Maybe not, though. Not ethical. I don't know. So it's going to be really cool. We got some new contributors as well. So around carnivorous plants, Peruvian lilies, trying to convince someone else who's very cool out there to join us as well. So watch this space on that one. What else did I want to tell you? I've done some cool work with Glee, which is a trade event, and we did a concept store. What do you call it? Training day the other day, which was really, really cool. And I presented lots of my crazy ideas as well. So anyway, I think it's time to stalk Ellen on social media. Don't forget, she's got her retreat coming out soon. I think she's got only a couple of spaces left. So if you do want to find out more, have a little look on her Instagram. I think I'm going to go up on... I'm not sure, maybe Saturday evening into Sunday. Need to arrange my diary on this. But anyway, let's have a little look at Ellen on social media. Oh, she's on her road trip. Oh, she's camping on the beach, isn't she? I told her this is one of those ideas that looks really good on paper, but when you actually get down to do it, it's kind of like, really? Oh, what's this? Louisiana hot sauce. Good song. Could turn that down. Yeah, because I've camped in camper vans kind of off campsites before, and they kind of always turned out to be the most terrifying experiences of my life. I remember one time in Australia trying to camp by some blowholes. I just realised how funny that sounds, blowholes. But anyway, look them up. They're a nature phenomena. And there was this rustling in the night, and we weren't sure if it was a snake or a mouse in the camper van. And then, like in the distance, we could see some lights as well. And we were in the most remote location ever, so we could have then been at risk. And we just scrambled up and just drove off while these lights are kind of almost like chasing us in the background. My God, it was horrible. It was probably completely innocent, but just in that moment, it's just, oh, gee. No, so I wonder how she got on camping on the beach, really. And it's not comfortable as well. I remember being in the desert, though, in the Sahara on a trek and camping outside. And it is kind of cool to be under the stars, but you misjudge how cold it's going to be in the evening. I wonder what it was like in Florida. Anyway, let's see what else she's up to. Oh, she's going to be at Gardeners World Live. She's banging on about that on social media. Reposting other posts. Oh, she's been at International Women's Day in a reel by Honest Communications. Here she is. Look at her smiling. She's got a little headband in. Oh, she's such a cute little trout. What's she doing? Oh, sharing more Women's Day things. Another one. There's a whole bevy of Women's Day. Now, who do I know from this? Lindsay Sweels. I think I've met her at Ellen's first garden club, where we first met and our love affair began. Duck Patch, I know her. Hayley's Lottie Haven, know her, love her. Cottage in Court, I don't know her, but I might like to follow her. Who are you? Who are you? A landscape gardener and a writer and blogger. My Little Allotment, of course we know her. Oh, Kirsty, that middle picture is really quite racy and very nice. She's got a big dahlias out as well. Kirsty is great. Follow her if you don't already. Plot 81. I believe I started following her recently. Oh, she's a big gun. She's on 48,000. Oh, really cool looking reels, actually. How to make lilac sugar. That's cool. What's this? Mascari, turn this. Oh, using Mascari to colour things. You could do that with Clitoria as well. Oh, I can't wait to see if the bulbs are out in my garden today. The Mocha Gardener. Who's that? Might follow. Oh, that's embarrassing. She follows me already. Follow her back. Happy Place Gardener. Know her. Met her. Bought her some... Did I buy her chips? I'm not sure. Did I buy you chips? We were near the chips. So much more. Know her as well. Oh, it's over. Now there's Ellen's dog in the back of the car, looking miserable, just like Ellen. I'm only joking, by the way. So a few more reshares. She's got Noises of the Swamp. Just a little story there. And then she's in Florida. Oh, so get ready for some really bad fonts. We're sleeping on the beach here for a couple of nights. It's dark. It's the next story. And then it's over. So I'm not sure if she's still alive or not. I hope so. She's been in Texas. Some lovely what do you call it? Not fresh flowers. Wildflowers here. That looks cool. What is that? Castellaria coccinea. That's cool. And the Texas bluebonnets. Wow. Such a cool colour. Ellen, did you get close enough to see if they're fragrant as well? That could be cool. Oh, we've got a picture here of the retreat. So the retreat is in private woodland area from 21st to the 23rd of April 2023. You can thrive. I can't pronounce TH. Such a letdown. Thrive off the group energy. You can find yourself in the magic of trees, enjoy some plant-based crafting, relax with a massage, go for a guided foraging walk, stargaze, eat delicious plant-based food, and meet new friends, plus much more. That's cool. Book your ticket. Let's look at the tickets, actually. How much are they? Where do I see that? Well, this is quite nice, stalking people with an audience. Right, we're going through to her link tree. Come on, Melon. Where are we? More information about the wild booking retreat. How you'll find your magic. More info and prices. It's in King's Lynn, by the way. Oh, it looks nice. Oh, if I go, will I have to share a room? I wonder if there's any other boys going. 2-night retreat stay is $525. That's a cool price, isn't it? Very nice, considering everything you get as well. Really good. Or a 1-day pass is £145 per day. That's really cool because you get breakfast, lunch, and an evening meal, and all these different experiences as well. Oh gosh, I might try and go for 2 days. But I might. Ellen probably tell me off because I'll distract her or something, or I don't know. I have to restrain myself a bit. How to grow your garden in 5 minutes on Uptime. So this is cool. She's been featured on another account. A few more crystals. I think I'm going back a couple of weeks now, actually. Oh, she's been to the camellias. That's nice. Cool. Well, there you go. I think we finished our stalk of Ellen Mary. Oh. I better get on because I'm actually meeting Emma Real Davis for lunch, and I've got her live location update. So again, someone I can stalk, new hobby. All right, I'll see you later, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode, by the way. It's with Chris Young, he's just such a lovely guy. It's like, I wonder what the catch is sometimes. He's just such a great guy. I knew him when he was at the RHS magazine, met him on many press days at Thompson & Morgan. Didn't realise for many years what a great synergy we had and how nice and cool he is, really. We seem to be on the same wavelength. I hope he would say the same in return. And yeah, I love him. He's invited me to his house one time and we had, some fizzy drink on the patio because he's got a disgustingly beautiful view from his house as well in Staffordshire? No, not Staffordshire. Near Stamford, which is in Cambridgeshire? Peterborough. What's Peterborough in? Lincolnshire? No, Cambridgeshire. Probably Cambridgeshire, actually. But it's a really cool interview talking about his multifaceted portfolio career, really, which is really interesting and inspiring at the same time. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm going to sign off now because I'll see you all really soon. The music for the Plant-Based podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.